There is no guarantee for success, but there are ways to get closer to it when you do the right things. Who you surround yourself with is just as important as what you do. Finding the right people, the right classes, the right activities, and taking the right tests are all decisions that shape your future. Find out more today on Destination University with Dr. Cynthia Colon. Dr. Colon and her guests will give you the tips you need, whether you're a student, parent, or educator. Now, here is your host, Dr. Cynthia Colon.
You're listening to Destination University, a podcast for college-bound teens and the parents, mentors, and educators who support them. If that is you, you are exactly where you're supposed to be. Hello, everyone. I'm your host, Dr. Cynthia Colon, TEDx speaker, college admission strategist, and author of the book, Be Committed, Get Admitted. Welcome to Destination University. We help high school families successfully navigate the college admission process by helping students create an action plan, become interesting applicants, and write compelling essays that increase acceptance letters. As a former admission officer at Vassar College and an elite private school counselor in Los Angeles, I have coached, mentored, guided, and worked directly with over 10,000 students. I know what it takes to get admitted to top 100 colleges. As my gift to you, I'm revealing the exact admission committee process we used at Vassar. It's all in my new guide, 4 questions admission officers ask when deciding who to admit or reject. You can get that at drcynthiacolon.com/admit. In the guide, I share the 4 questions I used in the 12 minutes I had to review an entire application. I give you the order I read the application, what I was looking for, what I highlighted and took note of. If you've ever wondered what admission officers are looking for and how decisions are made, well, today is your lucky day. Again, go to drcynthiacolon.com/admit. Okay, let's get to today's episode. Our guest today is like the other half of my brain. Honestly, Dina and I have been working together for over 5 years, but really we've known each other for over 10, maybe 15 years since our days at Marymount. She was in the marketing and communications department, and I was the dean of students at the time at Marymount. We went our separate ways, and we found each other again when I was looking to grow my essay coaching team. So we spend more time together in the summers than I do with my own family. And today you'll see how we can finish each other's thoughts and sentences when taking a dive look at student essays. We literally do share a brain. Let's get started. Today you're going to learn 3 things. You're going to learn the 5 academic food groups. What are the 5 subject areas that admission officers are looking for on your transcript? Number 2, we're going to talk about your academic plan and what that should look like. Number 3, we're going to talk about your major. Now, if you have not listened to yesterday's episode with Coach Vince, he tells you the 5 most popular majors. So I'll briefly go over those and give you an example of how to find an alternative major so you don't fall trapped to applying to the same major that everybody else is applying to. Okay. So let's begin with the 5 academic food groups. So they are English, math, science, social science, foreign language, or, more modern term is modern language. Okay. So we should see all of these 5 academic food groups on your high school transcript for all 4 years. Yes, you heard me correctly. So, there are some exceptions to this rule, and that is like you might get to a place where you've done all the classes that are offered at your high school in a particular area. Like you've done all the science classes they offer. You've done all of the, you got to AP Calculus BC as a sophomore, and now there's no more, something like that. And or you double up on a subject. So let's say, for example, you took AP Spanish or AP French or, whatever language is offered. So let's say you took AP Spanish language, which I think comes before AP Spanish Lit. So let's say you took that in junior year and you're like, I'm done. I'm not going to, I'm done with Spanish. And in my senior year, instead of taking Spanish, I'm going to replace that with another double up in another one of the 5 academic food groups. So you can do that. I always say, like, it's fine if you double up in math, you double up in science, you double up in English, but it's usually math or science, to be honest with you. Okay, so that's that. Now, note for those of you who are in California, schools, public schools here, the UC and the CSU A to G requirement does have a VPA, Visual Performing Arts requirement. So there is an art requirement. So they don't say to take it for 4 years, but I'm just reminding you that, yes, that's another, what they would consider a core subject. Okay. All right. I want to say something very honestly, and this is Thursday. This is right. This is our Thursday episode this week. Yeah. And it's basically Truth Talk Thursday. I like to think of Thursdays as the Truth Talk. So I'm going to just say this out loud. There's a difference between private and public school. I say this all the time, and so I can't hammer it home enough. Because when I'm working with public school students, the public school students who find me are typically wanting to get expert advice because they know my background. They know that where I've worked, and they know I'm going to push them because 5 classes in your senior year, 5 core classes. Now, I don't mean 4 and then you're an office aide, or 4 and like your art elective, although in California it would be but even still, honestly, you need to be taking those 5 that I said plus anything else that you're taking. That's the minimum, you guys, to take as a senior, especially if you're applying to top 100 and especially top 25 colleges. Why? Because your counterparts across the country who are typically in private schools, what are they doing? They're taking 6, 7, or 8 courses in their senior year. No joke. Okay. So like when I worked at Marymount, the girls were typically taking 6 courses and one is, or 7. So there was an 8-block rotation. So they were typically taking 7 courses because one of those was a religion, which was required. So they were taking 6 core courses plus religion, and then that other period was typically their free period. But some students didn't want or need to take a free period. They would take another class. Yeah. So the minimum is 5. Now, there are also few public schools. I'm going to guess that it's like 1%. And I'm working with 2 of those public school students right now that are going to be seniors soon. One is in New York and one is in Utah. There are schools where the students there, public schools. I'm sorry, I meant to say that specifically. There are a few public schools out there where the norm that school is the same that I said to you for private schools. Okay, taking 6, 7, or 8 courses in the senior year. Yeah. So if you are someone who's at a public school and you know that you can graduate with like, 3 or 4 courses, right? I think you need English and I don't know, government, and I don't know, like I think you can get away with like 2 or 3 classes maybe and call it a day, right? And have the rest be, wood shop. And when I was a kid, it was like wood shop and like home ec. I don't even think that exists anymore. So you just pad your schedule with some other cool class. I mean, cool. I wish I took wood shop when I was a kid. Cool classes. But again, if you're applying to top 100 or top 25 colleges, no, that's not how you make yourself stand out. Okay. So anyway, I just want to say that out loud. I like to give it to you raw and real with a whole lot of rah-rah. So I'm going to give it to you straight, but I'm going to cheer you on. Okay. All right. So that's that. 5 academic food groups. Now, number 2, your action plan. And I'm going to show you my screen here in a second. So I want to give you a peek into what we do in Dream College Academy. And the whole point of this is to backwards engineer. So, okay. So when I worked at Marymount, like the girls that would come in, and I use Marymount as the example because that's when I was a college counselor, and so I was talking to students about this. At the other schools I worked at, high school, secondary schools. I was a principal. So when the girls would come in and make an appointment, like before they were juniors, those were the students I was like, I don't know, interesting. So I can remember off the top of my head, like Kimmy and Molly and Danielle and Mallory. And, I can think of these guys, I can see them in my head because they came early on. They were calling me up. Like one called me before freshman year and was like, can we come in and make a plan? I'm like, grow up after my own heart. Let's go. So basically what students are doing who are that much of a go-getter is they're trying to figure out what do they need to achieve in the senior year to get to their goal, typically their college goal, right? So this particular example, to use an example, and I didn't want to be like crazy and have it be like a kid who wants a 4.5. So we just need, okay, a weighted GPA of a 3.9, a ranking of a 5% within their peer group. They want a rigorous curriculum. So they wanted to graduate with like 8 APs and 4 honors classes. That's a total of 12. Not terrible. Well, it's strong, but it's not the top 1% of this, of their class, I'm sure, right? Because they're in the top 5%. So strong. So 8 APs, 4 honors, or 3 to 4 APs, 2 to 3 honors. Okay. Emphasis in humanities or STEM or arts. Okay. So, this is me just saying, like, this is some examples. It should be aligned with your projected major. So whatever your emphasis is going to be, right, you're going to be heavy in the APs in the humanities, right? Or you're going to be heavy in the APs in the STEM. It should align with ultimately what you're striving for. Okay. So it gives you sort of a typical thing. Now, annual milestones. So this will help you say, okay, this is what I need to do. Strive for all A's, must be admissible to the AP English in the 11th grade, find friends with similar goals, needs honors track for English, etc. So for this person, the emphasis was going to be humanities. In Dream College Academy, I just put this here so in case, whatever your thing is. Okay. Now, specific action steps, grades in school, seek help when falling behind, go to the writing lab, thank teachers, academic, read books, magazines, research topics I find interesting, and then testing. This is when testing was more mandatory, and it's obviously more test optional, although I think there's 12 or 14 colleges that have it mandatory still, required. So we do recommend taking it, by the way. So there's some testing goals along the way. So what are the milestones? And even in Dream College Academy, we even get more specific and personalized for these action plans. But I just wanted to give you sort of like a glimpse into like what a general good academic action plan would look like. Do you want to start with the end in mind and you want to backwards engineer what you want to achieve by the time, or what courses you want to be enrolled in by the time you're a senior? You can't get to AP Calculus, right? If you start with Algebra 1, you do Algebra 1, then Geometry, Algebra 2, Pre-Calculus. That's it. So if your goal is to get to AP Calculus, you have to know that ahead of time so that you know what to do, or if you need to take a class in the summer. Okay. All right. So that was point number 2, a sample action plan. You need an action plan. Again, if you're joining us in Dream College Academy, in this cohort 5, we go over all of that in detail and help you along the way. Okay. Let's talk about the major. So again, if you did not, go back and listen to episode yesterday, what episode number was that? Episode number 210 with Coach Vince. He says, or he talks about how the 5 most popular majors are computer science, engineering, biology, communications, psychology. Nearly everybody applying to college applies to one of those 5 majors. So both he and I, when we work with our private clients and for me, my campers, we try to, help them steer them along with, okay, let's see if we can find something different. So today I'm just going to give you, because of that episode was just yesterday, I wanted to just kind of follow up and just like give you a quick example of just one. And maybe next week in the next, when we talk about, maybe I'll give you another example next week, but I'm going to share my screen. So if you are applying, let me just say this out loud too before we go to my screen. If you are applying to one of the first three majors I just mentioned, computer science, engineering, and biology, those are all STEM majors, right? Okay, we know STEM, science, technology, engineering, mathematics. If you're applying to one of those colleges, if you're applying to that major in a college that's a top 100 or top 25 college, you better believe that your grades in STEM courses should be AP, hardest you can take, and they should be you should be getting A's. It should be a nearly flawless transcript when I look at those STEM courses. That will just get you the foot in the door. That'll just get you a ticket to the dance. Okay. There are no guarantees, but that's just part for the course. Okay. All right. All right. So let me just show you my screen so we can, I can show you how we walk down this path here. Okay. So I already pulled it up. And so I'm going to walk you through this. So I went to collegeboard.org. Okay. And this is for you to look up majors. And then I scrolled down here and I clicked on Big Future College Search. So I already pulled it up. So it's this one. Okay. And then I wanted to search. Okay. Let me just show you that when I just search just biology, that's the only thing I've typed in, I get 1,800 results. 1,800. Now, if I narrow that down, or I should say, yeah. So now what this does is it says, I want colleges that have biology, I'm sorry, that have ecology and evolutionary. Let me see if I can show you. Where is that? Okay, so I clicked on biological sciences. I just want to show you how I got here. And I clicked on ecology and evolutionary biology. Okay. And I said, okay, add that. All right. Then I went back over here and then I said, okay, let's also add geology and earth sciences just for the heck of it, because I didn't want it to be so focused and so narrow. And maybe I might be interested in geology. Okay. So I chose two areas of possible majors. Okay. So by choosing two things, I get 568 results. Now, actually, I should have done this. I should have clicked in type and I should have clicked 4-year. Okay, let's see what happens here. Oh, okay, 478. Okay, it narrows it down a little bit. Okay, that's good. Now, the next thing I did was I just typed in ecology and evolutionary biology. And I got 29 matches. Okay. Now, I'm going to tell the reason I'm telling you this particular example is because biology, as we started by saying, is one of the most popular choices on an application as a choice major. And so you might have heard me talk about Curtis before, but Curtis was a young man, he was young, especially young for his applying to college, because he was like skipped a grade or skipped 2 grades. But he was this young man who wanted to major in, wait for it, computer science and biology. Both. But specifically, he wanted to be a paleontologist. Okay. And he would say, you know, the story, if you've heard it before, Dr. C, there are 5 living African-American paleontologists in the world, and I want to be number 6. And I would say, okay, Curtis, let's go. I love a good dream. And so that's what he did. Now, it made sense because he had interned with like Dinosaur George and he'd done all these things. But that was what he wanted. So Curtis found evolutionary biology as a major. That's a specific thing. I just showed you, it says 29 colleges. And on that list, because I looked earlier, it had like Princeton and Dartmouth and some others. Now, I know for a fact that he was also admitted, Curtis was admitted to Harvard and Yale, University of Chicago and Berkeley. And now I'm going to forget all the places he was admitted to. But I didn't see Yale or Harvard on the list. on this evolutionary biology list when I looked. But I went ahead and typed it separately and found it. I'm like, I'm pretty sure. And it does exist at Yale and Harvard. So anyway, my point is this. Curtis did not go in and say, I want to major in biology and computer science. He said he wanted, I think he still wrote computer science where it was relevant. But he says specifically evolutionary biology. And then he proceeded to make a case for it. He looks, when you look at his resume and you look at his application, it makes sense. He's not pulling your leg. He's not trying to pull one over and go, oh, I'm going to go and major in this crazy major because I don't want to look like everybody else. No, it made sense. Okay. So all I'm showing you is go do yourself a favor, go use, you can use the Chapman tool. Chapman has a really great tool looking for majors, and then College Board. And there's plenty of other tools that you can start looking for alternative majors to those 5 that we talked about yesterday. And I just reminded you today. Okay. All right. On a scale of 1 to 10, how helpful was today? Comment in. Give me your score in the comments, please. I love. All right, so let me just check my notes, make sure I didn't forget to tell you anything that I wanted to really tell you. All right, let's just review. You learned today the 5 academic food groups: English, math, science, social science, modern language. Okay, English, math, science, social science, modern language. Your academic plan, you need to be backward in engineering. What is the ultimate goal by senior year? What are the courses that your school offers that you want to be enrolled in, and what do you need to do to get there? And then your major. So listen to the episode from yesterday. Coach Vince is great. He's one of my go-tos. So, okay. All right. I think that's all I have for you today right now, my friends. Oh my God. This is so much fun. I just love doing this. I hope it comes through because, when people love what they do, it comes through. So I hope you can see my smile. Thanks for tuning in today to Destination University. I'm Dr. Cynthia Colon, your happy success expert. I always get tripped up on that. If this episode has in any way helped, fueled, or inspired you, please share this episode with 3 people in the next 30 minutes. And if you don't mind, hit subscribe to wherever you're listening to this podcast because it helps other people like you find us. Okay. Now, 2 things I'm going to ask you. 1, if you have not listened to my TEDx talk that is now on YouTube, you just have to go into YouTube and Google or search by my name and TEDx talk, and it'll come up. It is called College Admissions is Not Fair. I would highly love it if you would watch it, give it a thumbs up, and comment because I'm trying to get it promoted to the regular just TED channel. Right now it's in the TEDx channel. So super exciting about that. And trust me, you'll learn a few things. And then number 2, if you haven't binge listened to the previous seasons here, I would start with season number 1 where I interview my mother. She's a rock star. Okay. Again, if you found this valuable, please share this episode with 3 people in the next 30 minutes. I'll be sure to see you next week, same time, same place. Until then, wherever you are, may you have a happy and sunny day. Bye for now.
Thank you so much for listening this week to Destination University. Be sure to join Dr. Cynthia Colon again and get one step closer to your success.